Jeez. God, I sound like a business professor right now.
Hey everyone, Mitch and Grant here from Authentic. Today we're going to go through all of our values, and Mitch and I made these probably like 2 years ago, just based on we kind of sat down for a few hours and we're really flushed these out. Haven't really revisited them since, so we just wanted to go through and talk through them, share some stories, and yeah, share them with the world and kind of remind ourselves what they're all about. So
I'm going to start out with our little kind of mission statement, and then we'll go through our values in itself. But this will be a good overview for the whole thing of why we have values in the first place. So when Mitch and Grant started Authentic, they wanted to create careers of purpose and fulfillment. For them, this meant firmly establishing a set of values that reflected the way that Authentic wanted to serve the businesses they work with. And so our first value is to be authentic, of course.
Obviously.
Goes right with the name. And with that, we wanted to be transparent with clients and coworkers always, and align our actions with our thoughts, beliefs, and words. So I feel like those words are pretty self-explanatory in itself, Grant. But yeah, just like being who we truly are, and also being completely honest with clients, with people we're working with, about how things are going, if they're going well, if they're not going well, how we can improve them together, and just have a good footing with everyone so that we can be on the same page and move forward together in the best way possible. So what are your thoughts on the be authentic value?
Well, I feel like it's become like a buzzword recently. And I've had a lot of people come and ask me, what does authenticity even mean? Or I hear this in conversation all the time, what does authenticity even mean? And sometimes I actually don't know how to answer that, but I think we summed it up pretty well there. What I will say is that being authentic, all of our values, that they're really an action. It's something that you should try to go after, and you actually have to do. It's not you aren't just always authentic all the time, right? It's something you have to strive towards, and being open and honest, between you and me, and like you said, between our clients, between our contractors, it's an action you have to take. So sometimes when you're, something's really on your mind, you got to let it out, and that's being authentic. So yeah, I think that's what I've realized more since we created that value, is that you're not always 100% perfect with that, but it's an action you need to take. And it's a hard one, maybe one of the hardest ones to be authentic, all day, every day. It's tough, but it's a good thing to strive towards.
Yeah, and it's sometimes just doing the hard thing you don't want to do.
Yeah, I think for me, what it means most to me now is just you got to spend time doing what you love and not hide from your passions and beliefs. You just got to lean into them. So. Yeah, everyone's got a different definition of it, but should we move on to the next one?
Yep, go ahead.
All right, this one ties in well with what I was just saying, is seek happiness. And what we said about that is that happy people do exceptional work. Unhappy people produce uninspired work. If you're not fulfilled with your day-to-day, make a change. It's pretty deep.
I feel like this is kind of like a message to ourselves. If we weren't working on something that we actually cared about, we probably weren't going to be happy with our day-to-day work. So kind of impacting the people and the causes we really care about causes us to do better work, because working on those things make us happy. Is kind of at least how I thought through it back then and think through it now. Just by doing what you want to do and working on things you actually care about, your work's going to be better and you're going to be happier.
Yeah. I think that's a big part of it, but also too, even if you were working on a project that you absolutely loved, if you became obsessive about it and did it 24/7, then you're always going to lead to a point of burnout and fatigue. So I think that a big part of this is just finding that balance. And you and I have so many hobbies outside of our work as well, and obviously our work is behind the computer, and if we were to do that all day every day, it probably wouldn't lead us down a very good path. So mixing in our outdoor activities and hobbies and other things, being able to have a flexible schedule and have passions outside of work is a huge part of doing well at work as well. So that's one of the things that excites me so much about our work, is that it enables us to do other things that we love, like ski, disc golf, run when others might not necessarily feel like they have the time. So that's a big part of that for me.
I think a big thing you noted, and this is why this stuff works so well for us and why we work so well together, is, I mean, this is our values in a work environment, but honestly, it's also our values outside of the work environment. It's really just our values in general.
100%.
And they just bleed into work. So yeah, that's where it's important, where it's like, this is a 24/7 thing for us. It's not just authentic. It really is a Grant and Mitch and the people we work with values every day, all day.
Which is what I'm kind of sad we haven't like revisited this like more consistently. Every once in a while I like stumble upon it on the site and I'll read through them and I'm like, yeah, those are nice. But like, I almost feel like reading them on a monthly basis would be a good practice to get into, because when I read them, I'm like, that is so true. I'm actually pretty impressed that we were able to, well, we've got more to go through, but I'm pretty impressed that we like made all these. Because remember like when people are, gurus out there telling you to create your values, your outward facing value, to your customers and in your marketing, like choose 3 values and just stick to those. But I feel like we kind of took a different approach and was like, all right, we're just going to talk about everything we care about. And I feel like it's almost like guardrails for how we're supposed to act. And to boil it down to just a few values, I think is impossible. And each of these has a story. So yeah, that's why there's like 20 of them. But I'm glad we at least did it. Okay, number 3, have integrity, own up to your faults and acknowledge your strengths. Never sweep anything under the rug. Always do the right thing. The right thing to do is the smart thing to do. I feel like that's the quote here. The right thing to do is the smart thing to do. So like if you're ever in a situation where you're like, should we work with this client or should we do XYZ? And you have a question like, is this right? Or as in like, is this the honest thing to do? Is this what's actually going to hold up to our values and things of that nature? If it doesn't feel like almost 100%, then you shouldn't do it. That's kind of how I look at it, is like, this is a decision-making tool. If the right thing to do is the smart thing to do, basically. That's how I look at it.
Yeah. And I think the major thing is, I'm going to pull a Naval quote out. I feel like he has a lot of good ideas around this part, but we want to play long-term games with long-term people. And if they don't have like good moral values or integrity, if we can't trust them, I mean, what's the point in working with them for a day? So, and that's just, not just the people we work with, but clients or coworkers, but other people in our lives, relationships, friends. Life becomes a lot easier when you're surrounded by people with integrity, who are honest and who also like to do the right thing. So yeah, I mean, like you said, it's a good decision-making model for picking the right clients, the right causes, the right coworkers, and all that good stuff. So yeah, I think it saves you a lot of trouble down the line too, and just form stronger bonds with better people.
I feel like you have to, like you said, look at it from a long-term perspective. Sometimes in the short run, like cutting corners and maybe white lies or just like not living to your truth, like might get you a little further faster, but in the long run, just gotta hold out to your truth. That's the better way to go. Do you want to move on to the next one?
Yeah.
Can you go ahead and read it, Mitch?
Of course. Number 4 is to be humble. Don't be afraid to ask for help or advice. We're all here to help one another succeed. Be humble, but always recognize your strength. I feel like we wrote this in the context of like a working environment mostly. So it's like failing is a good thing, and like don't just sit around and like try to figure something out if you can't figure it out. Like resourcefulness is good. Like go on Google, go on YouTube, figure stuff out, but don't be afraid to ask for help. We all have our flaws, or it's not even flaws. It's just like nobody knows everything. So yeah, don't be afraid to ask for advice. I guess that's what that part's about. But yeah, I mean, like we're all in this together, and be humble, but keep going at the same time and strive for more. So yeah, what are your thoughts on the be humble one? I feel like it's a good model for life in general too. Nobody really likes somebody who's super outward and conceited.
Yeah, I think you and I are pretty naturally like this. I guess it was just kind of ingrained into us, but for me it always comes in, like I think of it from the sales perspective, and then if you're coming into a sales call and you're saying like, hey, we're the best at this, we're so good, we're gonna rock your world, that's just so off-putting. Yeah. So something I started doing in like a sales conversation is like, tell them something you're not good at actually, but tell them how that's a strength, in a weird way. Like, I just want I want to let you know we're not amazing at XYZ, but that's because it's just not our specialty. I think that's also super helpful in like interviews. I think if you were interviewing for a potential job, and there's there's always that question you get asked where it's like, so what's your biggest weakness?
Yeah.
And some people are like, well, I'm just too kind, just way too kind, and I'm just too nice to people. I guess that could be a weakness in some extent, but like that's not really, I would consider that way more of a strength. It's almost kind of like bragging in a way. But if you're outwardly honest, like I've been trying to tell my mom recently, actually, in her job search, is that she's trying to do interior design, and a big requirement for interior design now is having AutoCAD knowledge and like being really good with computers and 3D modeling.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
But my mom's 66, and like it's definitely tough to learn at that stage in her career. I mean, AutoCAD is like not easy for anyone. So what I suggested for her is that like when she's interviewing with people, just like be like brutally honest and humble with them. Like, I'm great at interior design. Like I have the eye for it, but I don't know AutoCAD. It's something I either need to learn or I need like assistance with from someone else. So I feel like if you like, that's part of humility, is if you can just be forward and say, hey, I don't know this, then you get a lot further with people. And same thing goes with like, if we have a contractor who's working with us and they don't know like some aspect of our video editing process, like, editing podcasts in Descript, I wish that they would just come to us and say, hey, I actually don't know how to do this. Can, you either help me or send me a video that could help, instead of just like sitting back behind the sidelines and just not mentioning anything or not being honest. So that's the way I look at it, at least.
Yeah. I find myself almost being humble to a fault at sometimes. So it's weird, especially in the sales process. Like, it's good to be humble to an extent, but there are some points where, I don't know, I think in the long term you can be humble and everything work out. But I just find in like the sales process, I'm like, yeah, we repurpose podcasts, videos, and webinars into short form clips for social media. And it works. It's pretty good. But I don't like sell it, It's just like, we do it.
Yeah.
So it's hard to find the balance.
It's
yeah, it's hard to find the balance. But overall, I think like we mentioned, it's more of a strength than a weakness. Let's move on to the next one, to be bold.
Okay. Yeah,
think outside the box.
Ties in with be humble, honestly.
Yeah, it does. So it's to think outside the box and take risks. Revolutionary ideas come from being original and thinking like no one before you did. What do you think about that one?
Yeah, I was thinking about how we transitioned into podcast repurposing and like really doubled down on that. And that was really prompted by you, like last August. And we're like, I think it was August, like, let's just dive right in and only do this. And I was a little bit scared at that point because, we wanted to take opportunities that were presented to us, and narrowing down our focus to repurposing kind of meant that we'd have to like put more guardrails in and say no a lot of the time. And now I find myself saying no a lot more often, or just like not pursuing a potential client because they're just not a right fit. And I think that was a bold action in the idea that like, we were kind of chasing after a niche that hadn't really been done a ton before. There wasn't a ton of competition. And there also with that, there's a lot of risks. Like, there's not a lot of companies out there we can emulate or get inspiration from. So that was a pretty bold action I think we took. I think being bold kind of ties into being humble, where it's like, in order to be bold, you have to know what you're good at and know what you're not good at, and use that to be bold and be decisive and focus on what you do best. So that's why I said those tie in well with each other.
Yeah. And I think, the major point, if you want to make like asymmetric returns or impact on specific causes, you literally just need to take risks that other people aren't willing to take to make those outsized impacts. So yeah, we don't want to play it safe.
Yeah, I feel like getting into video content was a big step for us in being bold.
If you told me 2 years ago I'd be making videos and putting them anywhere, I would have told you you're crazy. But sometimes you just got to get outside the comfort zone. Yeah,
it's really weird at first. And sometimes
there's the real laugh.
Yeah, it's weird getting in front of the camera. and continually weird, but you definitely get used to it. But it's when you start doing that, you become part of the few. You know, it's not like you're part of the majority anymore. So I think that's part of being bold, is you just got to do things that other people either for some reason aren't willing to, or people are too embarrassed to do it. So that's huge. Anyone that's out there watching right now that's like nervous to get behind the camera, whether it's our clients or anyone or our competitors, like, it's worth it. You know, being bold there will lead into other things of your life too. So, all right, next one, embrace simplicity. The most effective methods are often the simplest. Don't overthink things. I have a hard time with this sometimes, but also I'm really good at it other times. Yeah, I can think of a few cases. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, I was just thinking, I mean, this always brings to my mind from like a design standpoint or content standpoint. I mean, nowadays, if you want to stand out, there's all these different things you can do. But usually if you think of it like 80-20, what 80 or 20% of things will drive 80% of the results. It's just like, for instance, from a content perspective, like quality audio, video, and storytelling. Like, it doesn't have to be super complex with a really cool design that changes every 2 seconds and all this crazy stuff. So from a design perspective, like, simplicity can be all you need. And also, like, when building like a process for like our business, like, I could build out this whole crazy video with animations and all this, or I could just have a quick step-by-step Google Doc that I can make in 30 minutes that's way more easy to understand, easy to reference, and go through. So the more complex solution isn't always the best. So I think we're kind of just like, we were telling ourselves in this scenario, like, sometimes, and most of the time, simple is better, and also done is better than not done. With complexity comes, you know, how do I get from 99% to 100%? And a lot of times that just isn't worth it.
Is that what... I guess done is better than perfect isn't actually on this list, but it definitely should be. But embrace simplicity is part of that. The way, for some reason, stoicism came to mind for embrace simplicity, and there was like a time, when I was down in Florida visiting my family. The weather was really, really good. I love the outdoors, and you know that I did this, but I still got to tell the story. But I was like, I'm just going to camp in my brother's backyard for like the next 5 days. And the weather was great. So like I was sleeping in like 68-degree temperatures. It was perfect. And when I would go out there, set up my tent, put my mattress in there, and like bring out my blankets, like I was so content. And I was like, honestly, this is really all I need. And it kind of is like it opens up your eyes to like, what if I had nothing? Would I still be okay? And I'd say the answer is yes. You can always rebuild. And like, there's something that grounds me in security of knowing that like, if you live a simple life, that it's very anti-fragile and something that people can't take away from you. If you really embrace simplicity and you appreciate like the simple things in life, like walks and, I don't know, sleeping outside with nature, it really has helped me a lot. So the way it manifests, though, in like the business is that I think it's so easy to overcomplicate like a marketing and sales strategy sometimes. And I mean, I love experimenting with new things, but at the end of the day, it's just a few things that work. It's like focusing on relationships, trying to build those relationships, staying in touch with people that, you know, maybe you've lost touch with. Big part of that is just creating content consistently, just any type of video get it out there like on a consistent basis. If you can just come back to those simple habits and routines, then you're going to go far. So yeah, not overcomplicating things. Try to live a pretty simple life, and I think we try to keep the business as simple as possible too when we can. So yeah, that's what I was thinking about.
Yeah. Simplicity and I feel like the main three things we've realized over time and have been able to keep things more simple is the things that matter: product, making the best product or improving the product, the people, the relationships you said, and then the content / distribution. So it's really that simple, but there's a lot of different aspects in it, and it's hard to do, even though from a simple perspective, we know what we need to do.
Simple is not easy. I think that's like my favorite quote of like 2021 or something. It's like, just because something is simple, harder. Yeah. Yeah. It's like saying like, you know, just run 1 mile a day, every day, and you're good. You know, you're gonna maintain a healthy body weight and be healthy. And it's like, all right, easier said than done. You actually got to do it. So just because something is simple does not mean it's easy. All right, do you want to read the next one?
Yeah. All right. Give now and always, not later. Don't wait until you're rich to pay it forward. If you don't have money, give your time. In the end, there's nothing more valuable than your time. So, yeah, I think we both kind of live by this. And we're definitely not rich right now, I'll tell you that much. But what we do is give our time to causes and things we care about. You have been creating so much content in the past year or two, just giving back to people and things you care about, whether it's from a content marketing perspective, biking/biking infrastructure perspective, walking, the mental health aspect of all the exercise and getting outside stuff you talk about. Yeah, there's like a lot of different ways to give back, not just through content, but just in your community and whatnot too. So joining organizations you care about, giving back to like our coworkers and employees and like teaching them along the way. And we learn from them probably more than they even learn from us. But there's just so many ways you can give back without it being money. And by all means, giving money is great. And I'm sure we'll do more of that in the future. And we both give a little bit now, not much, but yeah, you can always give back today. And our clients, like we give to our clients as well. So
you think we're living true to that? And I think that there's this goal a lot of people have to like be a philanthropic billionaire. Yep. Where you become someone like Bill Gates and you start the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and they've done amazing stuff. And, you know, very proud of what they've done. But not everyone is going to have that opportunity to help in that way. You know, make billions of dollars and then give away 10, 20, 30% of their net worth, whatever it may be. That doesn't mean that you can't start with just a percentage of your current net worth, your current salary. But most importantly, like everyone has time, right? Like we mentioned. So whether that's picking up a piece of trash, helping someone that needs help, or I think a big way that we've been able to help is when we have friends that are starting their own businesses or going through a career change, maybe like coming to us and just talking through some marketing strategy and things like that. Like most of the time we'll just help them out, you know? And for me that seems really easy, but it's probably very valuable for them. And that's always exciting. So I think that's something that we could revisit and I think we can get better with and spend some more of our time doing things that really move the needle. So like in simple things too, I don't know, like I love using our skills in media and content, like doing the walking advocacy and like mental health advocacy is something that I really enjoy, but also like just getting my hands dirty and like picking up trash at the beach or like
I remember we did that
on the disc golf course.
We took like 3 hours or so in Stone Harbor and we literally just picked up trash on the edge of the beach and just like chatted. And I remember we were like, we should do this more. We should make this like a weekly thing. And we kind of just like didn't make it a weekly thing. It just kind of was like on a as remembered basis.
It didn't feel like a priority.
Yeah.
But it should be, considering it's in our value set. And yeah, we gotta find some other ways to do that. That one though I like because it's so simple and also it's kind of like it also forces us to get outside and do something active, and it's just completely separate from the type of work we do, but it's still like aligned with our missions. So I feel like maybe again that's one of the things. It's like it's simple, but it's not easy. So maybe we should revisit that one and start picking up some trash.
Yeah, I mean, just gotta find a way to keep ourselves
wearing
accountable.
Gloves.
All right, let's go on to the next one.
I remember. Yeah,
you got one more. Go one more point if you got it.
I was gonna say I remember like when we were doing that walk and picking up trash. I was like, my marketing brain was going. I was like, how can we, make the most out of this like time? Like, how can we post a picture of the trash we pick up and like inspire people to do the same? Or like, can we like sell the trash? I remember like, could we sell the trash for $1 and like that be like your way of supporting our trash picking up efforts? Is just like kind of like a guerrilla marketing campaign where, all right, someone donates some small portion of money just to support the idea behind it. And you were like, no, like I think the point of this is not about that or the marketing aspect of it. It's like it's just going out and doing something good and it is helpful. And I was like, okay, all right, you're right. I cooled off for a little bit and felt really good because there's some times in life where my marketing brain's always on.
Yeah.
And like, I feel like it can be a little bit overwhelming sometimes. So the simplicity of that's good. I think we need to pick up on some more things like that. But like picking up trash.
Mm-hmm.
So.
All right, we can move on to the next one now. But I totally agree with you. And you just got to do things for the sake of the thing sometimes. Develop long-term detailed visions. Build clear goals and visions, then continuously revisit and refine them. We did this. We haven't been awesome at refining it. We actually have, I'm pretty sure, a recurring meeting set up that always comes up like once a month or something. And we never, I think we both just look at it and just like turn our cheek the other way because we just like forget about it. But I mean, we've had some clear goals. It's funny because we were so focused on goals early on, I would say, and now we're more focused on creating habits that will kind of bring us closer to these goals we have, but they're more abstract, I would say. But visualization
we're kind of doing
is
that
important.
right now too.
Yeah.
With this value set, like, but you're right. We had that 5-page or 10-page vivid vision, which is like really detailed. And I remember the guy who inspired me to do this, his name is Troy Clogg, and he runs a landscaping company in, I think it's Wisconsin or Minnesota. And he's like, what he was saying is that like all of this that you see behind me, I was interviewing for him for a podcast, like all of these machines, all of this like cool technology, this cool office, like this was in the vivid vision. Like it's not a mistake that all this happened. You know, this happened because it was like very clear what I wanted to create, and then it ended up manifesting itself, and we made it work. So we do have that vivid vision. I think we should get back to revisiting that. I think what needs to happen is it needs to be updated a little bit because it might be a little bit stale. And I remember that taking a lot of time to create. Like, so I think there's maybe a reason why we haven't wanted to revisit it. And it's also sometimes harder to dismantle something and like make it better than to just create a whole new one from scratch. So, but I think maybe 80 or 90% of what's in that document probably still rings true to the goals we want to set and like what kind of business we want to create and life we want to create.
I remember us looking at it last time. I don't know, it might have been 6 months ago. It was definitely when we were in Boston, and like most of it still rung true. Like some of the details were off, but the overall core vision was like the same. And things have changed so much with, not to bring it up, but like COVID and where we're living and what's going on in our lives. Like things just kind of changed. Like we originally were like, let's have a office in Somerville, and you know, people can come in 2 days a week, and et cetera. Like some like details like that would change, but overall, like the people we want to work with, the things we want to work on, I feel like the core of it is probably still there. So yeah, we should definitely go back and revisit that.
Yeah, I have it up here. It's 9 pages of single space text, and there's a lot there. Like, let's see, I'll read like an excerpt from it.
All right.
So, Authentic is a boutique creative firm based. That's fancy. Based in Somerville, Massachusetts, that purpose-driven companies crave working with. And also, I wrote this in the present tense. So it's like the date is January 4th, 2023. So that would be 1 year from now, basically. All this has to come true. Doesn't have to, but Authentic is a boutique creative firm based in Somerville, Mass. that purpose-driven companies crave working with. Authentic is a group of individuals who have teamed up to make the world a better place. Over the past few years, there's been an explosion in companies that are working on large-scale solutions to improve the world we live in. And this created an awesome opportunity for us to serve their needs at scale. That is very vague, but also it's vague. But it's also the start of a 9-page document. So we dive deeper. We list some of like the clients we want to work with, like a non-alcoholic beer company, personal mobility startup, biking consultants to help with bike infrastructure, a seltzer company that's helping people consume more water, mindfulness and meditation practitioners like Rich Roll. I'll read the next paragraph and then I can be done with this. But we're extremely selective with the companies we work with. In fact, we turn away 60 to 70% of the companies that reach out to us based on their values, long-term vision, and potential. We work with companies that seek to make an impact locally and globally, both big and small. We never underestimate the power of one-to-one interactions on the ground that spread slowly at first, then have the potential to spread like wildfire when a critical mass is reached. That sounds exciting. Whether this means hand delivering meals to a homeless person on your street or holding a sign up to spread awareness in your city square, Small one-to-one connections can have a powerful impact. Never ignore the impact opportunities directly around you. To focus solely on stuff that scales and ideas that have massive potential. I like all this stuff. It's again, all this stuff is cool in theory, and it's definitely hard in practice. This is kind of funny. We're extremely selective with the companies we work with. We turn away 60 to 70% of the companies that
Yeah.
That would be great if we had such a surplus of leads that we were turning away that amount of companies. But that is definitely. I know we will get there, but it's definitely a longer journey than I think we thought it would be. So, yeah. I don't know. I think I'm going to Slack this to you right now, but we could read it right after this.
That was also when we were
still
more general versus really focused on repurposing.
Yeah, we had no idea what our service was going to be at that point.
We also talked about working with companies more, where nowadays we're really working more with individuals, I would say, more small teams. It's funny how, like, even if you're working
solo
with a
entrepreneurs,
company,
and
you're really working with an individual. But
that's true.
Yeah, we want to support the companies we believe in and the individuals we believe in. So, yeah, things have definitely changed. So it'd be good to review that. But like you said, a lot of the cool ideas are still stuff we believe in and want to work towards.
Yeah, I like kind of get chills reading through that a little bit. Kind of.
That's good.
It's a good feeling. Yeah, I think the more we read it, the more it will really set in. So, all right, practice empathy. Understand other people's perspectives and put yourself in their shoes. Like, remember when your dad was encouraging us to, like, sleep in the streets of New York City for, like, 2 nights? And
he said do, like, a full
just to
weekend
see
or
what it
something.
was like.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a really interesting... I've always wanted to do that. Like, I was actually thinking about... Because I was talking about the camping earlier and camping in my backyard.
We should do it in the spring.
Safety of my brothers.
When I'm there. Or we could do it in Boston,
I'll
too.
have all of the winter equipment I need in order to set up my tent and my sleeping bag to sleep in, like, 30-degree weather. Like a warm night in winter here. But I, like, every time I think about it, I'm, like, scared that I'm going to get found by, like, some police officer, and they're going to be like, hey, you gotta leave, or you gotta go to this homeless shelter, and be like, no, like, I'm, just experimenting with being homeless in the city. What a privilege to just do that as, like, a practice in empathy. But I don't know, it scares me every time I think about doing it. But I guess
probably
that's
a good sign. You should do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember the
I'd be down to do
noise
it.
class with practicing empathy with the like elderly people and with, like, the blind people? You remember how they did that?
Are you talking about at the home we went to? No.
No. So there was like a part of the course that he was talking about creating empathy for your stakeholders, and what they would do for if you were, like, a young engineer that had just graduated and you're trying to design something that will make the elderly people, like, make it less painful to walk or something like that. They'll put you in a suit where it, like, restricts your walking and makes it really difficult to walk, just to show you what it actually feels like to go through what they go through. Mm-hmm. And then the same with, like, blind people. Like, literally, you put on blackout shades, and if you've ever tried, like, walking downstairs in the dark, like, it's really hard. So just help, like, putting yourself in, literally experiencing empathy in that way, I think is really cool. Again, easier said than done. You have to put yourself in some pretty uncomfortable situations. But, yeah. Practice empathy. How else can you do that?
I think a lot of it, too, is just, like, really talking and listening to people and understanding, where they're coming from. Easier said than done, obviously. But, I don't think it's just, like, walking another day in somebody else's shoes, but it's, like, really trying to understand how they think and why they think that way. And overall, just, like, not being judgmental, like, realizing there's probably something deeper to this and actually taking the time to understand, as opposed to just pushing it off and saying, or disagreeing. So yeah, it's definitely a hard one, but I think overall it's just, like, not being judgmental and really hearing somebody out and listening and not pushing your thoughts or ideas on somebody, but instead just trying to understand theirs with no judgment. So it is a hard one, though.
No judgment is important. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I was, like, when I was walking this morning, actually, and I had that thought about sleeping in the tent, like, in Somerville, I was walking by some other tents, and, like, clearly those people are there not by their choice, but I could feel myself in my head sometimes, like thinking about how they got there, and like maybe it's something they did, or there must be a reason. But that's just me like jumping to conclusions, and it's just not healthy for me or for them to think that way. So I think like what you said, like leaving judgment out of it, super important.
Next one. Make a lot out of a little. Look at the resources at hand and make the most of them. Don't wait for your managers to direct you to take action. So that's very businessy. I guess
this makes
the
me
business
think
perspective first.
of Denver, being in the park in Denver. Remember, we were visiting cities like where we wanted to live, and the water bottle.
Oh yeah, Grant
Yeah.
and I. Gosh, we were in some big park downtown. Was the name of the park?
I think it's like Centennial Park in Denver or something. Let me Google
Yeah.
it. Doesn't
We were
really
just
matter. It's like
sitting
it's their
around.
big park.
We had our nice red Toyota Yaris that we were renting through Turo. That thing was a beast. And yeah, we were just in the park, and I think we were like thinking, oh, do we have like any sports equipment in our car, like something to do? And we didn't find anything, but we did find was like a 3/4 full, kind of like big like polar seltzer water that kind of like almost looks like the shape of a football, like a skinnier football. That we just started like tossing it like a football and then just hucking it from the cap and passing it back and forth.
It's really fun to throw, honestly.
Yeah, and then do we have a contest of like who could throw it the furthest or something? I don't know. It became this whole game that consumed us for like an hour. We really did
Yeah.
make a lot out of
A lot of a little, yeah. We did well with that, That there's something. I think it was like half full, which we were making the most out of it. But the way the bottle like spins in the air is just so cool to watch. But I think some bystanders were like looking at us like we were like, crazy or like extremely poor because we couldn't afford a football. But I don't know. It's just what we had at hand, and we were having fun with it. So.
yeah.
That's where that comes. I think the way this has manifested itself in our business the most is that we've really come like full circle with organic marketing and content marketing, and like with the way social media works nowadays, like distribution is free, right? But like creating content and getting your message out there, that just takes hard work and consistency and being bold and learning and failing. And like I feel like that right now for business owners, like if you're willing to put in the time, not necessarily money, but the time and the resources to content marketing, then you're gonna have an edge, and that's where the opportunity lies right now. So I feel like that's just and that's really gravitated towards our service too. Right now we're doing repurposing, so we'll take long form content, we make as much out of it as possible, and try to repurpose that into more content so that you can make that content go further. So that's pretty nice there. Got to be resourceful. That's something we're pretty good at.
We literally make a lot out of a little. We turn a little, maybe one piece of content into
Is that our new
it-
slogan?
turning your little into a lot. I don't know.
Making a lot out of, I don't know, something. Maybe
a
we're
lot out of a little.
overcomplicating it. Maybe we should just say what we said right here. Make a lot of a little.
Yeah. By all means,
Yeah.
we could.
Don't wait for your managers to direct you to take action. How does that have to do
We
with
wanted
that,
people
though?
to be resourceful. I don't know why it came.
Yeah.
It manifested and make a lot out of a little. It's
Yeah.
kind of just like maybe we give you like a little bit of direction and then like you go with it, and yeah, I don't know. Maybe it doesn't belong there. Maybe we need to edit it, but I think that's kind of what we meant by it. Be
No,
resourceful.
I think it's good. It reminded me of working with Chris Tolles, which is kind of one of the big reasons why we're
Shout
in
out
business
Chris.
together. Shout
Yeah.
out Chris Tolles. We were working with Chris on Sundaily at the time, but he's now working on a startup called Yardstick, and they're doing like carbon monitoring in soil. But he was always like, hey guys, like don't wait for me to come up with ideas for you to execute on. Like I just want you to feel empowered and take action, and we'll work through these experiments, this marketing experiments together. And that was very empowering for us. Like instead of like working at some massive company where everything's coming from the top down, it's like, no, like if you have an idea, you better bring it forth. So I guess that's a message to all the contractors we work with right now. So it's like if you have ideas, just because we do something a certain way doesn't mean that's like the way it should be. You're going to learn things that we wouldn't know. So please let us know when you want to try something new and experiment.
Yeah. I think also a little part of this is like leverage, like, yeah, making a lot out of a little, like,
yep,
doing the activity can create a lot of leverage as well. But let's move on to the next one.
Yeah, we've been trying to focus on creating content that lasts a lot recently too, like YouTube SEO and just content that will work for us for years to come. And I think that's a big mindset shift for us recently. All right, deliver results. Do your best to deliver value and accurately. Let me restate that. Do your best to deliver value and accurately articulate results. The more we grow our clients' businesses, the more we grow. So, yeah, I mean, I think always trying to focus on creating a service that matters and is something that will make an impact in our clients' businesses. You're not going to succeed as an agency unless your clients are happy, unless they're getting results. So, I mean, this is just survival 101. You've got to give results, and always something to strive for and get better at. Yeah.
I mean, you want your work you do to have a point, and ultimately you want to deliver results, even if that's just to like one person or one stakeholder. So it's just an important part of business and makes stuff worth doing. You want to create stuff that makes an impact. And sometimes you have to fail and create stuff that doesn't in order to get there. But ultimately the goal at the end of the day is to deliver that impact and results.
Yeah, if we're ever in a circumstance where like we're working with a company and like maybe we're just a like hidden line item in their accounting and we know that we're not providing like massive results or really setting them up for the future and what they need for organic marketing, like I think we have to know when to pull the plug and say like this just isn't working and go on and help other people that we really can help. So I think that's something we should focus on moving forward. You want to read the next one?
Yeah, let's place some purpose before profit. Work on projects and with companies that get you excited and that make the world a better place. Any work towards a good cause is already worthwhile, whether it makes money or not. If you're going to do anything, why not do good? Place purpose before profit. So, yeah, I think we both firmly believe in this. Like, we care about having enough money to live, but at the end of the day, we care about more making an impact on the people, things, activities, causes that we really care about. So, yeah, and that's outside of work as well. So, purpose and doing fulfilling things that make us happy on a daily basis is what really matters to me, and I'm sure it's the same for you.
Yeah. I like what we say here about any work towards a good cause is already worthwhile, whether it makes money or not. And I think that solely focusing on making impact because you know it will make you the most money is not the best way to go about it. Like, I think that we should be in it knowing that making an impact, a positive impact, is worth it in and of itself. And the money follows, but like similar to, picking up trash or just stuff we do in our day-to-day lives, like just not having like a expectation of something in return. And like, I don't know, if you open a door for someone and they don't say thank you, if you're going to get all upset that they didn't say thank you, like, did you really do that out of the kindness of your heart? I don't think so. So to some extent, doing things without some expectation in return is important. You have to be careful there, but just placing that focus on purpose is, we got to do it, and it's right here in the values. So
yeah, I mean, we have turned down work that would have given us profit, but it didn't align with our purposes or values. Or our purpose or
just
values.
Someone. So, maybe the company was fine, but the person that the person we were dealing with, they just didn't seem like the right fit, or like their values didn't seem up to snuff. I think that's been the biggest thing for me is how does that person we're working with within the company, how are they as a person? Usually that reflects too in the company itself too. So
totally. Yeah. Some people would just
people
work
generally
with
make good
or
companies.
try to figure it out. Yeah.
It's true. All right. Leverage compounding interest. Embrace work that builds on itself. in the long run. Dogged incremental progress is the key to massive success. Plant small seeds with huge growth potential and water them consistently. Yeah, I think, again, this is kind of what led us to content marketing in the first place.
And networking is, I mean, really a long-term activity. I mean, we're not just doing it from that perspective, but also just to like build relationships with people and that we enjoy working with on a day-to-day basis, or just knowing. But yeah, I mean, this is kind of the key to bootstrapping a business in general, I would say, is focusing on those high leverage activities that seem tedious in the short run, but in the long run pay dividends. So, and give you the opportunity for the compounding interest. So like you said, the content marketing, the networking, I mean, building processes within the business, documentation. These are all things that feel like dogged incremental progress. You don't see the results immediately, but in the long run, the interest and content, everything kind of does compound. I feel like we've seen some signs of it starting. You know, it's always up and down. It's never just a easy peasy logarithmic curve. But yeah, I mean, we both know this, and we've been sticking to it for a couple of years, and we're going to keep going. So it's just, you got to do it for a while.
Yeah, I mean, when you sent me I was going to update some of the examples on our site today. So I was downloading some of the examples you sent, and I was looking through the folders, and I was like, we have created so much content for our clients. It's insane. And like on a weekly basis, sometimes it may not feel like that much, but then when you add it up over the months and years and the consistency behind it, it's insane. And then I was also like just looking at our YouTube channel, which is still kind of in its infancy, that really just started back in like July, I would say, is when really started placing an emphasis on it, which 6 months in the grand scheme of things is actually not that much. But we've created like 50 videos since then, and that's really adds up over time. And you know, the whole strategy there is just to become an authority in our space and have some SEO value there, where people are searching for us and coming directly to us instead of us having to do so much outbound and relationship building. So that's exciting. But yeah, when you look back at the work you've done, like in the folders, it's pretty cool to see, and you forget about it on a daily basis sometimes. Like sometimes, I'd say more often than not, I feel like a little bit discouraged. Like I feel like I always need to do more, you know, more. But then every once in a while, I like take a look at what has been done, and I'm like, okay, this is actually wow. So I don't know. It's important, I think, take a step back sometimes and appreciate that, because on a day-to-day basis, sometimes it feels really slow.
Yeah, it's all coming. Just keep going.
Yep. All right. A rising tide lifts all boats. Encourage and help others around you, and you'll receive continuous gratification and lasting success.
I feel like this is one of your favorite sayings.
Maybe. I feel like
I hear you say it. I mean, it's been a while, but
my dad probably said it. Now I say it or something. I don't know. But like, I think this manifests itself with our competitors. And I've been more proactive recently about just reaching out to our competitors. And like, if I see a freelancer or even an agency that's offering podcast repurposing services, like on LinkedIn or Twitter, I've recently been just like commenting on them and tagging you in and be like, hey, Mitch, this could be a great person to work with. Or, hey, we'd love to learn more about your services, because I think there's plenty of business in the game for everyone, and if we can partner and learn from each other, then like you're going to be better off than just treating them as a competitor and like hiding from them in some ways, which I've felt like I've done in the past. So that's I think there too. But
yeah, we literally give away our tactics and our processes to help other people, whether they want to DIY it or it might be our competitors. But like, by all means, take it, because I mean, we really believe to bring more like business speak into it, but like, business and life, it's not like a zero-sum game where it's just a piece of the pie, you got to take it from somebody else. Like, especially in this repurposing game, the pie is growing, and it's not, you know, I have to take from you to win. It's we can all win, and, you know, it's becoming more and more vital, this service. And in any business, we really start, like, just helping other people. I mean, just it creates good vibes, as you could say, or just like
tried and true strategy.
And I mean, I just trust people so much more who, are willing to be helpful to one another, as opposed to being secretive and are just out there to make a buck. Like, sure, great for you in the short run, but in the long run, I don't think it's going to work out, and that's not how I want to operate.
I think one of the reasons why we're so willing to share like our expertise and our tactics is because we know that like, this stuff might be simple, but it's still not easy. So just because we teach people how to do things and strategy, like, it is still really hard to execute on. And I think that we're positioned to actually execute on it. So I don't know. We just shouldn't be afraid of that. If you want to steal our values, that would be great. If they show up on someone else's site, I think these are good values. Like, I think that they would help other people. So go ahead and do it. Do you want to go ahead and read the next one?
Yeah. Big change starts small. Focus on developing smart habits that help accomplish your long-term goals. And we spoke about this a bit earlier, that we're not as big into goals anymore, but we're more into, developing good habits on a day-to-day basis that create that dogged incremental progress that eventually leads to those high leverage compounding activities. To just throw a bunch of words at you, but jeez, God, I sound like a business professor right now. I've started to realize that throughout this whole conversation, it's like I just gotta talk like a human being.
We did spend 4 years in business school, so
yeah, and I used to read too many business books. But basically all I'm saying is, for instance, like this year, I have habits that I go through in the morning. I go for a walk right when I wake up. I journal my current thoughts and feelings about literally everything in my life. It can be work, can be social life, etc., family, friends. And then what do I do after that? I read something cool or interesting to learn something. And then I'll start my work and do like a 3 or 4 hour session. That's just an example of like these little habits that I go to every day that help me, create big changes in my life or in our business, or just to make progress. So you don't have to be like, all right, I need to build $1 billion business and then you just do it. No, you have to break it down and work
A, B, C,
backwards
D, E, F, G.
into the small pieces. So I think we were just reminding ourselves that the big goals or big changes, big successes, really they're just, come down to taking things one step at a time. Yep.
Yeah, I think that I'm glad. Well, you mentioned a lot of those habits you were talking about are really things you do in your personal life that help you positively too. And I think all of those translate into the business too. Of if you can focus on healthy activities, keep your mind sharp, have energy throughout the days, it really helps with business too. So I think you and I have always been really focused on the personal habits that will make us happy and healthy, which is easier said than done. All right. Obviously, life is never easy. That's just a part of life. But those habits can always help you come back to center. And I think those really do have a big impact in the business. But I was also thinking about, what was I thinking about? Big change starts small. And how, I actually have no idea. Maybe it doesn't matter that much. But
a small earthquake in the middle of the ocean can turn into a big tsunami by the time it gets to the
that's a little different. Oh no. Because that's just a one-time thing, and that's just a butterfly effect where I think more on a long-term scale, if we go back to our first videos we started posting a year and a half, 2 years ago, or our first website that we created for the business, and we compare it to what we have today, or the designs we used to do, we've come a long way. And all that has happened was we've worked on it consistently over time and made small tweaks and learned a lot over that time. So all that stuff though didn't, in the past we sucked at design, we sucked at video editing, I sucked at public speaking, and I'm always still getting better. There's so many things we sucked at 5 years ago or 2 years ago that we're at least good at, or pretty good at, I think, and some things we're great at today. So yeah, got a long way to go too though. We're only 25 and 24 years old. A lot of things to learn in life, and a lot of maturing that needs to go on with our life and the business. So that's exciting to think about, where we'll be at 10 years from now.
It is. And luckily we know that you got to start no matter how small it is. And we've done that. So let's keep it going. Be sustainable. Yeah, I'll rip this one. Choose to put your time towards initiatives that promote sustainability in the following 4 areas: environmental, personal, economic, and societal. This sounds like a Babson tagline.
It is because I took a class with Professor Marjorie Feld, and it was a great class, opened my eyes up to a lot, and Yeah, they talked about like oftentimes sustainability. People just think about sustainability from an environmental perspective. Like, yeah, we need to use less gas or whatever. But there's also like, what about the sustainability of your personal life? You know, like, are you able to, you know, make ends meet? Are you able to live a healthy life, a happy life? Economic, like, do people have fair opportunities? In societal, you know, are we creating a society that has sustainability built into the culture? That literally came from a college class. So I'll give her credit there. It definitely made me think about sustainability from a more like comprehensive view. But again, I feel like I'm spouting out buzzwords, but I know this is something
it's
we
hard
care
not
about.
to. Yeah. My kind of like simple perspective on it is to just give more to the world than I take from it.
I like that.
And I think that in a lot of ways is how you can be more sustainable. And there's like literally a literal sense of like from an environmental perspective, like hard to do, but like, you know, try to use less plastic bottles, use stuff like this. Maybe you go out and like plant trees or flowers. With the gift apparel a few years ago, like I would plant trees through the business every purchase, you know, buying carbon offsets or something. There are ways, plenty of ways in your life to give back more than you take from it. So yeah, I think if you do that overall, like you lived a pretty good life and you contributed to the world.
I think that's a good way to put it. Give more than you take. All right, last one. This one's a lot more. This is the most wordy one out of all of them. Mm-hmm. It's give the client what they truly need, not just what they ask for. In the short run, this will lose us clients, but in the long run, it will help us build a positive reputation and deliver more consistent results.
I'll start with this one.
It's a bold value, yeah.
So
has there been
I think
a time
when we
where we've
wrote
actually
this,
practiced this?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I remember very specific instances where people thought they needed X, Y, and Z, and we're like, no, like this is what you need. This is going to be better. Like they might be like, I want to like post all my stuff on Instagram and Facebook. We're like, no, like LinkedIn's the spot right now for businesses like yours. Like you should be focusing solely on LinkedIn and forget about those other platforms for now. Like they're not useful. I felt like partially this was written earlier on. I think at least for me out of college a little bit, or when we were still in college, like a bit of imposter syndrome. And like, it was easy to be like, oh, you need this? Like, yeah, we'll do it. As opposed to like, now that we have definitely a better knowledge base than we did then, but we even had like a pretty good knowledge base back then. I feel like we've always been like a bit too humble sometimes, and at least for me, and not like trusted my instincts even when I knew they were right, just because I wanted to sometimes give them what they wanted as opposed to what I thought they really needed. So I think as we've matured more, like we kind of already do this. It was kind of more just a reminder that like, hey man, you know your shit and like trust it. And if it goes against like what they say, like say something. Don't just like take the money and do it, even if you think / know it's not going to work.
Yeah, I think I remember like a case where we had a friend or a client and they wanted to make like a 10-page or a 20-page website that was going to be like super complex. And we were just like, you know, it'd be great if you paid us for that, right? But honestly, you could probably do this yourself and you probably only need one page. And we like sat them down and just helped them build that like side by side. I remember doing that for I can't remember who it was. And at the time, that's what they
remember,
needed, right?
Yeah, I don't know, but
I actually legit can't remember. But
I think it's Jason at Grateful Moves. I mean,
maybe.
That was one of them at least.
We definitely took
multiple
payment
scenarios
from him for a website, but I think he may have wanted something a bit more complicated. But there's been a few other cases where that has happened. So this is like a really good one if you're an agency. There's a lot of business owners and I think don't know what they need, and as a marketing professional, like you've got a strategy in your mind, and if you know that it's not the right play, then you've got to let them know. Like I feel like that's just an ethical like. Totally. Super true for freelancers and for agency owners. Like, actually, Jason Swank is the one who taught me this. I was listening to a podcast and he harped on it. It's like, you got to make sure when like you're doing proposals, like just because a client is asking for this, don't just give it to them. Like you're trying to build a real business, real results here. So you need to give them what's actually going to move the needle. So that's a good one for us to continuously revisit and revise our service offerings too around it. And I think there's kind of a responsibility for us to, tell a client like it is when we just know it's not going to work. So
this is also when we were doing a bit of everything for people. now that we have a core service, you know, what they need and what they ask for, like they ask for what we think they already need. So it kind of aligns better now. Whereas then it's like, you know, we might be doing social media marketing or website design or et cetera. And yeah, it was more arbitrary. Now it's like, boom, boom. This is what you need. This is what you want.
Yeah,
I think we
it's
should
much more cut and dry.
Go back up to the top and let's reread this statement. When Mitch and Grant started Authentic, they wanted to create careers of purpose and fulfillment. For them, this meant firmly establishing a set of values that reflected the way that they wanted Authentic to serve the businesses they work with. So how do you think that's been, I mean, do you think we've been effective? Do these values we live by, have they created so far in our short tenure of careers, purpose and fulfillment?
I would say I want us to get better at like being proactive with the clients we're working with and making sure they really do match these value sets. Like I think we could do a better job with that. Again, easier said than done. Like there's a lot of the clients, you know, I think when we started the business, we wanted to work with only like super impact driven businesses. And now our filter is more like, it could be a standard business, like maybe like a storage business or like a local business. In our context now with content repurposing, like they could be a podcaster talking about a more general business topic or something like that. Maybe it's not fully impact focused, but if that person's a good person, it really is someone that I'll gravitate towards. So like, I think that maybe we've dumbed that down a little bit and said that the company itself isn't as important as who we're working with. And I think that's good, but I think we could get back and be more proactive about the companies we're trying to curate relationships with and work with, like should really be great, like a perfect match for our values. So that's just going to be require some us being proactive at this point. So yeah,
I think we should definitely revisit these. I feel like we might have a few more values. Like I was just thinking with the new types of clients we're working with, we haven't necessarily talked about this, but I think you'll probably agree is, I think a big value of ours now with the repurposing process is education. Like I think we both get excited by educating people on
that excites me
these
the
valuable
most.
Topics. Yeah, it's just like, and obviously some entertainment in there. Like we want it to be enjoyable and funny, but like we have a big opportunity to spread messages through thought leaders and people who really know their stuff and literally improve other people's lives through that, whether it be, you know, getting better at their job, improving some part of their personal life. Yeah, there's just so many ways we can make an impact through education and, you know, getting these people's message out there more. So that's like a core value that I feel like we haven't really touched on here that would totally add, not even just in like this business now that we're repurposing, but pretty much any business in the future. Like it is a great way to make an impact.
Yeah. Like I was saying, that's what excites me the most. And it makes me, what I'm really excited about with the skill set you and I have learned through the business is that, like with content marketing, is that it's the direction that I think education is headed in the future. So like things like Khan Academy, it started out with Sal Khan, you know, basically this one guy recording videos like from his like spare office. And he basically got me through like my tough classes in high school and a lot of college stuff too.
Yeah.
And it was free. And it was like this guy doing it and, you know, basically being a like replicable teacher online because you record one session and it's out there for everyone to see. Our skill set is really lending itself well to doing stuff like that. And, you know, we're starting to make strides there. Obviously doing a lot with content for marketing and repurposing. I'm starting to work on more of the bike advocacy and bike infrastructure content to help people find trails that are safe and fun. And that really excites me in the long run, the education aspect. So everything we've learned definitely plays into that well. And imagine like developing countries that really are lacking the educational infrastructure that like America has. Well, not just America. America doesn't have the best education system, but that, you know, we grew up with. I think the internet and online education is going to be an amazing equalizer for the world. That excites me a lot. So let's sink our teeth into that. I think we already are. We're just working towards it.
Absolutely. And I've already seen with some of the contractors we're lucky to work with, like they are very well educated and they're learning a lot of their stuff through YouTube and other online means that they previously wouldn't have had access to before. So it is super exciting. And I mean, we could talk about this for hours, I'm sure, but I'm excited for the opportunities in that, and also in like consolidation / like choosing what types of content are actually the most useful and whatever.
Do you need some water?
It's definitely interesting. What'd you say?
Do you need some water?
No, I'm good. I sound a little bit raspy.
We've been talking for like 2 hours straight, so.
I've been drinking the whole time. Yeah. All right.
But,
well, I think that was a good overview
wrap it up?
of our values. Yeah. So I think we still stand by a lot of them, pretty much all of them. Might need a few tweaks here or there, but it's led to us building, lives and business that we really enjoy running and building. And yeah.
I'm glad we have these. I think we can work towards being better at legit every single one of these and just honing those skills over time. So I think we should look at those as like, just because they're on our website doesn't mean they're tried and true. Like we gotta make it happen. We gotta
live by them.
So
we live by most of them.
This is a good start. No, I agree. We hold ourselves a pretty high standard.
Just do it more. Yeah.
So agreed. Cool. Hopefully, if someone made it to the end of this video, watched the whole thing, that's really impressive. Like, hopefully it was valuable and appreciated, honestly, because just as much as this is like a public thing for Mitch and I, it's also really helpful for us to just do it, him and I, and go back and forth and learn more about, tell stories, and I guess learn more about ourselves and why we even created these values in the first place. So thanks, everyone. Appreciate it.
Cheers.
Cheers.